Okay, and so we're here now for the first interview that I've done with two people at the same time. We have Starr Noir and Caroline, and they are launching a new nonprofit to really help diversify the arts. And I will let each of them introduce themselves and then talk a little bit about the nonprofit. So who wants to go first? Starr?
Hi, I'm known as DJ Starr Noir. My name's Starr. Two R's. Two R's. I've been a DJ in the goth industrial alt music scene for about 22 years at this point. I'd say that once the pandemic hit, I was like, I still have to be able to do this.
Mhm.
And that's when I started doing a lot of virtual DJing, and that in it, I included a lot of fundraising in that because otherwise sorry, my cat. Otherwise I wouldn't have had any kind of outlet to help causes and organizations that I believe in. So I integrate a lot of fundraising into live streaming, which paired into Caroline's mission, which is, I'll let you take the wheel.
All right. Hi, I'm Caroline from Sunshine Blind, and I know Starr from working in the different clubs and scenes in San Francisco. And yeah, I was looking to, I just finished working at a nonprofit in San Francisco, and I was looking to apply all my knowledge onto the music scene because, you know, as a musician, it's a nonprofit business. So, and there is a need for support. So, especially now with all the venues that have, you know, shuttered and need help, and all the promoters and all the artists. And I've always wanted to find a way to help them just run, you know, just run and get that art out there, because there's so many bands who can't get on the road or get, you know. And, you know, I have experience on the road. I have experience with nonprofits. I have experience running a nightclub. I have experience running a business. So my original idea for Hecatea, and that's our nonprofit, it's called Hecatea. My original idea for it was to be a metaphorical and actual venue to have the arts perform, a place to go. So that was, you know, the original idea. But since we're in a place where there's no venues, the venue is Twitch. So we're starting right there, Twitch. We're going to get people on Twitch. We're going to teach them how to use the software. We're going to get them up on our channel. We're going to get the channel to run 24 hours so it can help pay for it. And then people don't have to pay out of pocket for the software and the things like that, you know. And so that's where we're starting. We have so many ideas of what we can do, what we want to do. We want to teach people how to use, you know, DAWs and music software and Serato and, you know, all the things that all the tools you need to know, and that there are financial barriers to learning, and especially for Black, Indigenous, people of color, women. And so that's our focus. And lots of ideas. We're really just starting out at the very basic level right now. So we're just going to focus on that, try and get our grants, try and get our funding, try and get our donations. And then just the ideas are already coming fast and furious. So we'll have to, you know, discern what the actual focuses will be. But for right now, it's get people streaming on Twitch.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, certainly, like what I do with this show is, you know, start with just something and see where it goes, see what sticks, try different things. So
yeah, that's one of the things I was telling Starr, is like, it's going to inform itself. As soon as you start and like people start throwing ideas at you and you start talking to people, you're going to be like, you know what we need? And then it's just going to go from there. So
right, exactly.
It's creating a momentous, like, kind of snowball effect. Like, we have a handful of people that are volunteering and helping out. I have a handful of people that I need to get on board that are like, yes, I want to help. I want to do this. And like the pandemic has really changed our world and how the arts and music are funded. Like, how these things get off the ground and how
Or
they're
not
showcased or not funded.
Yeah.
Like, how these things are showcased and the avenues and ways that we have to share these things with the world. And I think that we're just kind of grabbing this bull by the horns and being like, well, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, let's get people exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take projects that we believe in. Let's support women, BIPOC, LGBTQ. Let's support the people that need them, mostly that need the funding. Like, let's get them educated. Let's get them out into the world, because they don't have other ways to do it. They can't just like go play at a venue or do a mini tour or a larger tour or a festival. Like, festivals aren't going to happen for a long time.
Right.
You know,
when I started in bands back in the 90s, it was, I relied on my band members for everything, for recording, for touring knowledge, for music. It wasn't the most acceptable thing for women to be, in bands. There was a lot, but not,
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously not the norm. So after after my band broke up, I was like, for years, I was like, oh, man, I need someone to help me record. I need someone to help me do this and do that. And finally, I was just like, you know what? I just need to learn to do it myself. And I got an incredible amount of money together, and, for me at the time, and took a class in Pro Tools. And it's changed my life. I've put out a song I think every month since I've taken that class. I've worked, I've done vocals for tons of people. I've done videos. I've done all sorts of things. And the only thing holding me back was just that one class.
Wow.
So that was a big, totally changed my life. So that's what that was one of the ideas I had. It's like, what, more people need to have these tools.
Right.
There's lots of music not being made because people can't do it.
It's like, if we can help facilitate somebody getting that one thing that they need, then let's fucking do it.
Yeah. Cool. So you mentioned needing money, and I'm sure we will several times throughout this post a link of where people can make a donation.
Give us your money. It'll go towards good things, I promise.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we'll be talking about. So before we get too much before we get to that, let's get a little background. I always like to ask everybody what music means to you.
Who's first?
You go, Starr.
Okay. So I'm going to give a cute little backstory on my friendship with Caroline.
Oh, no.
When I was a very wee baby goth in a small town adjacent to the Bay Area, like a couple hours outside of the Bay Area, we're a smaller town. We didn't have access to like Streetlight Records or Amoeba Records or Tower. Like, we didn't have access to anything really cool music wise, but I had
This was before Hot Topic.
This was before Hot Topic, maybe when Hot Topic was barely coming out. Like, let's not date myself entirely. I had a friend that his family lived in the Bay Area, and so he would constantly go to the Bay and bring back all these CDs and amazing music. And I can say, like, the two bands that we had this one CD that we would just pass around the group, is we had Switchblade Symphony, local old school goth group, and we had a Sunshine Blind CD, which is Caroline. So she was one of my inspo goth bands that I got really into. And then later we became friends. And then I did her hair. So in the before times, I was a hairstylist. And we've gone to concerts together. We've worked events together. And so that's just a little backstory on us. And I would say that since I was very young, I've loved music. I've loved alt music, mostly like goth, industrial. I still love 90s alternative. I love everything new. I'm definitely more into like the newer dark wave, dark electro sounds these days. But I started working in a music store when I was very young, when I was like 17, and I started DJing in store. And then I moved on to house parties, and then I moved on to clubs when I came of age. And then when I was 21, I was in all the different clubs. But to me, music has always been life. Like, I feel it's a way that it genuinely connects people. Like, music brings people together, whether you're just listening to the radio or you're at a live show experiencing something together. Like, music is like the butter to, or not butter, but like peanut butter and jelly to my social sandwich. Like, music just, it just brings so many people together. And I it's always been a huge and major driving force in my life. And I feel like it's a way for people to express their feelings or things they've gone through or their hopes. Like, it's just, it's an all-encompassing thing.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine like my life without so many of the people that music has literally brought into my life. Like, it's responsible for the majority of my happiness, of course, which is crazy, but it literally is.
Yeah, as I'm hearing you speak and thinking about others who have talked about it, I'm being a Star Wars fan. The thing that comes to my mind is it's like the Force.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like music is the force that brings people together. And we could like go into the whole history of music, but like, it's in every culture, race, creed, whatever. Like, it's something that always brings people together. And I don't think I'll ever hit a point in my life where I'm like, music, but it's, you know.
All right, seems so
like, who is like that? Like, who doesn't really listen to music? Like, I don't care if you like pop or, you know, 80s or angry EBM, which I don't like that much, but you know, it's like, it's something that drives you and it connects you to other people. That's really important.
Okay. Caroline?
Yeah, I mean, mine is like way more, you know, basic than that. Music is elemental to the life, you know. Music is the way we relate to the world, the way I relate to the world, the way I understand the world, the way I am informed, enlightened, inspired, comforted, everything. So it is a language. It is it's even more than language. It's like I said, it's just, it's the way we relate. It is like the consciousness, you know. It's just like that. It has its own, you know, like the Hindus believe the entire universe was created from a vibration, the first sound. And if you know, if the first molecules that move, that's the vibration. And, you know, the you know, the breath and moving, anything that moves is animated as life. So, you know, to take that to the next level, the more vibrations, and you get frequencies and you get music. So, but I'm sure people would say, you know, there's music in a sunrise and all that other stuff. It's you know, it's just the way you, it's the way you see things, you know, and it's the way you, for me, it's the way I'm informed, the way I'm, you know, way I reach my higher power, the way I, you know, how I see the world. How I see the world is through music. So physically, spiritually, emotions, it's all there. So yeah, it's way more basic than that. So
very, very fundamental.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I've heard from people when I ask the question. They're all like, I don't know how to answer that, but it always boils down to like, it's everything. It's life.
Yeah, it's your community, it's your social, it's your
and community is definitely
your spiritual. It's everything.
Community is definitely a big thing, particularly with Twitch. That's one of the things I'm sure everybody's noticed is just this community that we have.
Well, for us, it's more literal, like industry people. So DJs, bartenders, nightclub people, well, you know, promoters, that's our world, you know, so.
Yeah. But
apparently sometimes, so they try. Actually, that's why it fails at Commerce, because it's not, you know, that commercial.
Yeah.
That's not that packageable. It's not that capturable. Is what I mean. It's not. I'm not saying it's not commercial. Obviously, it's commercial. And my computer's about to die, so I'm going to plug it in.
Okay. So
I'm back.
For those of us not in the industry, the access to Twitch and all the different artists and DJs from all over the world, still it really does feel like a community, because particularly when you start seeing the same people,
Oh, totally.
in all the different rooms, and
Yeah.
you get to know.
Especially if you all, once you break off into your favorite genres,
Yeah.
then you find like-minded people, and that's your community. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've described it as, or what I think of sometimes is the New Model Army song, which name I can't remember, but singing about finding tribe, finding family, and that's kind of what I hear from a lot of people, was that
I'm sure you
Twitch
get
has
that a
been,
lot.
Twitch has been great for those of us outside of the big cities that couldn't really on a regular basis go and hear this kind of music without just downloading it on our computer,
or even just
getting
people
together.
underage.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 13 or 14, I found these like little cable channels that like were broadcasting from a club, and I would be like, oh my god, I'm gonna go there someday.
And even like broadcasting on Twitch, we get kids in there all the time. We get teenagers. I get people like whispering me, being like, oh my gosh, I've never been exposed to this, and now I'm like, they go to this channel and that channel, and it's a whole new world for them. And so like in the before times,
and people talk to you back, unlike YouTube.
Yeah. People talk like Twitch
You
really
can go down a YouTube hole and find all that stuff.
Twitch, like, I know there's a whole jargon about like the big man owning Twitch and consumerism and capitalism and blah blah blah, but honestly, like, I compartmentalize that and set it aside, because in the before times I was a very social creature. I was very heavily integrated into my community here locally at the local level. I was out either DJing or at events, like on average, like 4 nights a week. Like, I had things I looked forward to, like Death Guild's DNA every Monday. I was at Cat Club every weekend, seeing either DJing myself or being there when friends are DJing and dancing, and that community was my life. And so we hit the pandemic, and I'm just like, what do I do? Like, I'm gonna dissolve into nothing. And so immediately I'm like, I'm jumping on this Twitch thing. I started DJing 2 weeks into the pandemic. And
that's how long she lasted.
Like 2 weeks. I was like, I started a Twitch live, or sorry, not Twitch, Facebook Live, which is awful and would just like mute you and drop you almost immediately.
Oh wow.
Everybody found out immediately.
Immediately, like we got zucked really quick. But DJing on Twitch has exponentially grown what I consider community. Like, sure, I do have a lot of local friends that join in the streams, but I have met so many amazing DJs and artists and musicians through Twitch, and it's kind of like this little web that's reaching, and it's literally all over the world. I have new friends in Australia. I have new friends in the UK. I have friends across the United States, and we're getting to a point where we're all like integrating on social media, on Twitch. We're constantly on supporting each other. Like, I would say hands down, the most revenue I make on Twitch is from other DJs supporting me. And then I literally just go and throw it back at all of them. It's just this kind of like circle. And it's really amazing to see how we've taken this pandemic that broke society apart, and then we found this avenue that brought us together. Like, complete silver lining. Do I miss going out? Do I miss dancing? Do I miss being at the venues that I called home? 110%. Hands down. There's nothing that's ever going to replace that feeling. But now I have this completely new feeling, and all these new people in my life that are just some of the best people I've met in a virtual sense. And I can't imagine my life without them. And it is a total community. There's all these DJs and artists supporting each other. And then you have your regulars in each chat room, and you get to know them, and they bounce around the rooms with you, or so-and-so's hanging out in here. And it's like having a 20-room club in your house at any given time.
Yeah.
And you should be like, oh, so-and-so's hanging out. I'm gonna go hang out over here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna go hang out over here for a little bit. And I don't know if I would be alive without this. I had some pretty low moments in the pandemic, being such a community, extrovert, thriving person. And this has literally made my life immensely worth something. And it's not about the money. Like, the money's great, hands down. It's nice to feel like I can pay my fucking phone bill.
Yeah.
But the community is what makes it. It's the friendships we made along the way. It's the friends, it's the camaraderie, it's the knowing that me hanging out and playing music is really making a difference in somebody else's life, because it feeds back. It's a constant feedback loop of just people being together. And again, music is the force. It's what drives and brings people together.
Yeah. And you did say that, I do see that the DJs are usually the ones that are, because, I'm always about the hype trains and pushing them. And I see that a lot. It's like I'll come from somebody's channel, I haven't pushed a hype train, and then, we raid into someone else, and now they're, taking all that they just got, and they're putting it into this,
throwing it right back in.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm in a position where I'm like, okay, I got to be careful on my Twitch funds, right? And then sometimes I'm okay, and I'm just like, let's get this hype train going. Yes, yes, I love this song. Here's 1,000 bits. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really amazing for me to be able to support others, and also knowing that they also have my back.
Yeah.
I found it super helpful because I moved 3,000 miles away from everybody, and now I can go watch Starr, and all my people who I knew at my nightclub are in the chat.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful. That I wouldn't have had that, right? I would have moved and I wouldn't have had that.
Yeah.
So, I maybe see them on Facebook or something, but to chat with them, just random people that, I don't, acquaintances, that I had that I wouldn't normally like keep in touch with, but hey, there they are. Just like at the club, I can chat to them. Yeah. And another aspect of the Twitch thing is that I do travel a lot, and I've, toured like all the country and England and things like that. And I do know, lots of those DJs have been my promoters, and, I've met lots of people all over the world, and I see them now meeting each other. Like lots of the DJs I know in England are now meeting my San Francisco DJs, and lots of the people, and across the States and things like that. So that's interesting. And the third thing I would say about the Twitch thing is that it used to take me, I could maybe, I'm not as young as Starr, but she could hit like quite a few clubs in a night, and I could hit like maybe 2 or 3 because I like to hang out. So it's, the thing about Twitch is, from my room in my jammies, I don't even have to get dressed up. I could go to like 10 clubs all over the world, chat people, say hi, and take off. It's great.
Don't even have to call a Lyft.
I don't even have to call a Lyft or nothing. It's true.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the things when I try and get people to tip and donate, if they're in a position to do so, is think about how much money they would have spent if they went out.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, just the cost of one drink is more than the cost of a sub.
Right.
And then you add in multiple drinks, you add in tips, you add in the Uber and Lyft and the cover charge, and the dining out and everything. It's throwing a few bits is nothing.
Yeah. And it's really funny because
the industry people don't really, but yeah. I was like, we're there anyway, and we get free drinks sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I'm talking about everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else. It's true. Agreed. That's because we need that because we're poor. So
our scene is poor. Like,
it's poor.
regardless if some of us are more successful on Twitch or not, like even the more successful people are not, we're not raking in insane amounts of money.
Right.
Like I'm grateful, humbled by the generosity of people, like being out of work for almost a year and being in a position where like I'm very grateful that I have a roommate that's very well off, and I've been short on rent, and he's just like, don't worry about it.
Mm.
But being able to say, Twitch covered my rent last month. I'm eternally grateful to the people that have been so generous, and I'm also grateful for the people that are just there. Like I said, it's mostly about the community, but like the fact that I wasn't short on rent the last 2 months is it's a personal integrity thing. Like it took me a long time to really find my own way in the world, where I didn't rely on any other source. And so when the pandemic just stripped that away from my life, I had a really hard time feeling like I couldn't pay my way. So in this sense, I feel like I'm giving people something, and those that can give back.
Yeah.
And I'm just eternally grateful and overwhelmed a lot that I've been able to pay my rent.
Yeah.
And even if I'm just still a little bit short, it's okay. Like my roommate's a very good person, and I feel very privileged in that sense.
Yes, the starving musician thing. That's one of the things that I wanted to work into our nonprofit was we're going to do this for the musicians, and therefore, I mean, there's enough businesses out there trying to gouge musicians, and you know, like those associations that work for for musicians, and they want the musicians to pay a membership fee. I ain't got a membership fee. How about you do something for me and get your money from grants or something instead, So I would never, I'm trying to, I would like to set it up so we never charge musicians to join or to be educated or to, take a workshop or, download our 10 tips to get your music on Spotify or anything like that. I'm not going to charge the musicians. I'm not, if they have means and they can donate, great. But otherwise it should be the consumers or, that good old socialism, them grants and stuff, So that's one of my strong feelings about our nonprofit.
That's not too much different than, all the efforts to teach people code.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's just a different facet. It's just wanting to see this aspect in our lives thrive, like wanting to see that feedback loop where we see everybody supported, that they have the tools in their toolbox, that they're able to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. Like people can say, well, arts aren't essential, but they are to humanity, like period.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna argue that. I'm like one of these, I keep telling Starr, I'm like, you know what, we don't have to explain ourselves to anybody. If they don't like it. I was like, what, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Period. This is how we feel and this is what we're doing.
I argue, of course, that you're entrepreneurs, and that I know to some that's a bad label, and so you don't necessarily have to call yourselves entrepreneurs, but the way artists work is just the way that entrepreneurs work, right? So society really should, right? Society should treat artists the same as they treat entrepreneurs.
Well, absolutely, and that's the problem, is that society's placed arts down here and capitalism and money making and
wait, does that mean that entrepreneurs are treated well?
No.
Or is it?
Well, I meant like in a business aspect, like in the whole consumerism type world, like
because entrepreneurs have that whole burden of you don't have a real job because you're self-employed.
Oh yeah.
That whole burden to deal with. So I don't think that's.
But it's also
that's like a.
Well, I teach entrepreneurship, right? And so I get students that come in and they have a glorified view of what entrepreneurship is,
Oh, I do.
All right. Well, so part of my job is having
Having
to
started a billion businesses, I can tell you.
is break it to them that it's not what you think it is. But that just represents, you know, society's view, right? That being an entrepreneur is this glorious thing, you know, this true American independence, you know, and,
Right.
right.
And it's so
But
easy
what,
and everybody can do it.
right. But what it
Yeah.
really is somebody taking something that they're interested in or passionate about and doing more of it and trying to make some money off of it.
And hopefully having the means to start.
Yeah. And so, you know, when I read about, you know, theories of entrepreneurship and how entrepreneurs act, and it's like, it's no different than a DJ or musician. It's, okay, what do I know? Who do I know? What can I do? Let's try something and see what works. And then who can we, you know, connect with to make it happen further, and then go from there.
It's a hustle.
Yeah.
It's a hustle.
It's a hustle. No, I would agree. Like, you have an idea, like, you know what would be great? This. Let's do this. And you find a way to, you know, make it happen if you can.
Exactly.
So yes, in that way, it's exactly like an artist. Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm arguing that everybody should think of themselves as an entrepreneur so they can seek out the resources that are out there in their communities that are specifically for entrepreneurs.
Well, I think the difference would be that entrepreneurs are like, some of them anyway, would be like, people would love this. Whereas artists are like, I just need to express this. I don't know if anybody's going to love it or not.
Yeah.
Or that might be some entrepreneurs too. I don't know.
A lot of entrepreneurs are just, they're doing something they love to do. It just so happens they're able to make money off of it. A lot of them will be something like, you know, they're making cookies and they brought them to, you know, an event and everyone likes them and said wanted some. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, if you make me, you know, a dozen cookies, I'll pay you for it. And then it just grows from there.
So it starts with self-expression or a need to create, and then becomes a job.
Yeah. What often triggers entrepreneurs is seeing a problem and wanting to solve it.
That's true. That is not like an artist.
But that's
So
what you're doing.
Unless the problem is communication, because I think artists are really about like, well, this needs to be communicated in this way.
So what you're saying is that we are the entrepreneurs because we see this thing that we're passionate about, that we want to be out in the world, that we want to see it supported. So we're entrepreneurs in that sense.
Well, we are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're actual entrepreneurs in that sense.
Yeah. But there are like sources, like I talk about like 1 million cups from Kaufman Foundation, like 250 cities every Wednesday morning for an hour, gather for coffee, and like somebody will present, or it'll be just an open networking discussion. And, you know, it's just an opportunity to get connections, share ideas, and
is it more
see what
guided
happens.
is it more guided like a think tank?
No, it's typically what it is people sign up to like present, and they'll present for 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And then the rest of the hour is talking about that or just general networking. Now, from what I've heard, a lot of the people that go there are there to sell services, but there are a lot of people there that are just there because they're just interested in helping people, you know, make something happen. And so if they know somebody, you know, they can connect you to, or just suggest, hey, think about it this way.
Right.
You never know. And, you know, if like what you're doing is definitely entrepreneurial, right? You've started an organization, right? You've created a nonprofit.
Woo!
Right? And there are plenty of resources out there specifically to help that.
Yes.
It's a matter of finding them, because they're not looking for you.
That's for sure.
Right.
They're not looking at ways to spend money.
Right.
But they're open to hearing about things they believe in and want to support.
And there are actually cases where there are organizations that have money to spend that haven't found where to spend it.
Right.
So the more you can network, the better.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, that's why the forum that we're using is the forum that we know.
right.
Star's been a DJ for over 20 years. She knows people,
Yeah.
I've been in bands and I know people too. So
yeah.
I know
but
people.
it's not, we're not starting from scratch, we're not opening a flower store.
No, I know that.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you don't know. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that's
but-
why we did it
Right.
in this form.
Yeah.
Scene.
And one of the reasons why I, even before I heard about this, that I wanted to interview Starr was, I noticed, on her page, she talks about all the money she donates, and that's really inspiring, especially knowing that she's been out of work.
Right.
And a lot of the DJs out there, they rely on us as income, and I see them still giving out more money than most anybody else.
Yep.
And
She's
that
found her
just
calling.
yeah.
Well, I think
And I mean, that caught my attention too. I was like, I'm looking around for people who, there's a million people I can choose from to join me be on the board, and But first and foremost, she was doing it. She was doing it already.
Right.
I was like, this is easy. Let me file some papers and let her go.
Be free. It's all kind of crazy. Like I'd say the whole donating and DJing for legitimate causes. One, it supported me. Like for a long time, I was doing a 50-50 split. All my tips, whatever I made, went to things I believed in and wanted to support. Venues that were shut down.
Yeah, she did the Pride stage for years.
Oh my God. Yeah, our Pride stage was insane.
It's an insane, she coordinated the entire thing. It took her weeks and weeks.
Wow.
It's been a slight blessing in disguise not having Pride last year, and very likely definitely not this year either.
Well, you'll be doing it for us.
Yeah, we'll be doing it online. But like spending months fundraising to get the stage going that basically just provided fun for people to celebrate equality and to be seen and have a safe place to celebrate. Pride's not for everybody. A lot of people don't like Pride, and that's 100% fine. I take a lot of pride in my Pride stage. And I think doing that every year, I think I've been managing the stage for, I think it would have been 8 or 9 years at this point. When I jumped into the Twitch DJing, I saw that there was potential for revenue, but I'm not the kind of person that just likes to take. There are some people that operate in a strictly business way and are making good money on this, and that's fine. I just don't operate that way. I can't see myself in a position where people are giving me money and I'm not doing something good in return.
Yeah.
And I think especially
not people who we know are struggling.
Exactly. I mean, there are struggling DJs that are constantly tipping, and I'm like, will you stop tipping me? It's gonna go right back to you.
Yeah.
But the one thing about this pandemic is that we don't have these, like you were saying earlier, we don't have the outlets to go out. We don't have the places to spend money. And it really drove me to like live within my basic needs, like make sure my bills are mostly, for the most part, covered, and that I can eat. Or have a little bit set aside in case something comes up, which I don't have any savings now. Like, what are savings? But like, I went through my savings really quick during this pandemic. I didn't get unemployment. That's a whole other jargon that I can't get into. But having the opportunity to still get a little bit for myself, but also give back to my communities. I've done a lot of fundraising for Cat Club. I've done some for DNA. I've done stuff for Heart and Dagger. GoFundMe's for just people that are literally in need. If I didn't have this avenue, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to be like a driving force towards things that I believe in. And it goes beyond just supporting people and venues. Like I've done huge online festivals that support things like the Trevor Project, the Marsha P. Johnson Institute, different organizations that support communities that need it and need the visibility and need the funding and need these outlets that support them, XYZ, again, whole feedback loop. And I think the whole run on fundraising is what connected Caroline's idea to me. Like we know each other well, we get along famously, we both believe in the same things. Let's do something together.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, she was already doing all of it, and I just want to formalize it, scale it, let her do her thing. And she was already doing the funding. She was already supporting the communities I wanted to support. She was already playing the music. It's a no-brainer, really.
So what do you hope to accomplish? I mean, so 5 years from now, we'll say, what is success with this?
We're going to get as many people up and running as we can. Like going back to my story about how I was held back by not having the tools and the knowledge. We're gonna get that knowledge out there, scholarships, whatever it takes. We're teaching them ourselves. Star's like, I'll show them how to use. I'm like, no, not you. You delegate now. She's like, I'll show all those people how to use Twitch. I'm like, you delegate and then you oversee it, and then more people can learn the Twitch.
It's funny. I've literally gotten several people off the ground running with Twitch. I'm still helping people.
Yeah.
Get on board.
So, like I said, just scaling it up. We'll have someone teach all the Seratos. We'll have someone teach all the Twitch. We'll have someone teach the Pro Tools.
Yep.
The Final Cut Pro, whatever they need.
Like the resources.
So success for me is the more people who, and some people just need, they just need that one push and they're off and running. Mm-hmm. And some people, will want to, make it a career and make it a formal study or whatever.
The resources are already out there. It's just a matter of like, hey, this person doesn't have reliable income or extra money to spend on this one thing that they need.
Yeah.
So it's like, we want to make sure that people get their education. We want to see that they're funded. We want to see these projects and their expressions be in the world.
Yeah. So success is, for me, but what I can visualize now for 5 years is get as many people up and running as possible. That's the core of it right now. I mean, like I said, there's a billion other ideas on how to do it and how to help people. But we have to focus, and otherwise we'll burn out. We'll have too many hands in pots and trying to do all the things at once.
Yeah. That's one thing that I learned, because I was part of starting a not-for-profit years ago in soccer.
What?
Soccer. It was a supporters group
Nice.
for Chicago Fire. I was working on my PhD at the time, and someone said that we need someone with more business knowledge to help us with this. So my big thing was really pushing to get a very clear mission statement. And we spent
Starr and I struggled so long with the mission statement.
We went back and forth and back and forth
and like all the things.
Okay, wait. Yeah. It's got to be short. It's got to be concise. It's got to be simple. It's got to be clear.
Yep.
I was like, you know what? Right now it's just Twitch. That's it.
We are a baby fledgling, and mostly like Caroline was saying, it's getting off the ground. Mm-hmm. Right now, we've got to recover what Caroline spent to get us registered. Like, it was not cheap. In order to fund people,
we got to make sure. 501c3, like $600. It's like, who has that? Not me.
But as you said, you've had experience doing this years ago. It's it's just
I know what to do. I just
right.
And I'm checking off the boxes as I go. So far, so good.
Well, the value, the thing with the mission statement is because you were talking about all these ideas,
Yes.
and that can also be a problem, right? Because
Yes.
in our group, we had tons of ideas with no
Yes.
money and
Right.
all volunteers.
Right.
And so my job or my role, I signed to myself, basically was to be basically the asshole at every meeting and saying, does this fit our mission?
Right. No, we had a lot of that at the
Yeah.
nonprofit I
And
worked with. So
yep. And because we
we can't
only
do
have so much
everything. That
time.
was good. That was a good
Right.
lesson I learned working at a nonprofit. It's like we can't
Yeah.
do everything.
Right.
Not right
And
now.
so you have to know what to say no to. That
Yeah.
still allows you to do what you want to do that fits. So that's that. So, the advice that, of having a short, simple, to the point, memorable mission statement is really, really important. And so many people don't get that right. They'll write something down in an afternoon that's a bunch of jargon that nobody will ever remember or look at again.
Right.
I think the first thing I did when we were trying to come up with like what we wanted to say is I made like a Facebook post like, what is the ridiculous jargon you are so tired of hearing about in mission statements? And there were so many things that just like keywords where I'm like, yeah, don't want to hear that, don't want to hear that, definitely don't want to hear that. It's like a lot of them are just like copy paste, and they're so long.
Copy paste.
Yep.
Like,
Terrible.
They're so
Terrible.
long, and it's like, just tell me what you want to do in a few words.
Yeah, the elevator pitch.
It in business, we teach, and people don't always learn it, but that a mission statement should be something that everybody knows because it's simple enough, not because they're forced to memorize it, right? Because it's only 5 words and everybody understands it, right?
Yeah.
So what is your mission statement?
So our mission statement is.
I don't have the website up. I didn't think to make notes on this.
It's on our
Are you gonna pull it up? I mean, I can.
That's not 5 words, I'll tell you that.
Hashtag we're professionals.
Yes. Well, we're an arts organization, right? That's how it starts.
Okay.
It's arts organization for the dark arts music.
Hey, I got it.
You got it.
I got it.
Featuring, go.
A not-for-profit arts organization. I have a hard time reading publicly, so bear with me. Thank you. A not-for-profit arts organization for goth, industrial, and dark alt music, focusing on women, BIPOC, and LGBTQ+ to the front. Like, that's it.
Okay.
Arts organization, our music, who?
But what's the purpose?
It's an arts organization.
No, that's the vehicle.
It's to support the arts. It's to support
there's like a whole
to support our music. That's it. Well, arts organization. I mean, that's like one of the that is one of the categories you have to put on the paperwork. It's like, are you a charitable organization?
Right.
No, we're an arts organization. Are you a sports organization? No, we're an arts organization. So like PBS, we're going to support the arts as, we're going to support the music we know. And I'm trying to spin it like, I mean, goth music has been going so long now. It is a cultural, form of music, like classical music. We have our godfathers and our, we have our masters that we, venerate, and we have our new artists who are doing the same thing. It's like play, or it's like classical music by now. It's that old, So, so yeah, one of the ideas was, keep the history. Keep all those documentaries, keep people's interviews of, the original bands from way back when, and yet still, support financially. And I think we whittled it down to right now, we're just supporting financially by fundraising and grants. That's all we're going to say right now. Support that for new artists in the same.
That's your mission. We support new artists.
Yeah. To make sure that they have the means to get their art out there.
Yeah.
Okay. We financially support artists to get their works out.
Yep. That's what arts organizations do.
Yep. That's
It's like
that's
the
a mission
SF
statement
Symphony.
right there.
It's like the SF Symphony. We put on concerts.
Yep.
We, we sell history videos and we interview new people, and that's what we do.
Yep.
And that's how we support our music scene.
Yeah. So actually, and this is already like, God, how many years ago now? More than 15 years ago. I still remember the mission statement for the organization, which is, we create a home field advantage wherever the Chicago Fire play.
And how do you do that?
And that's where, everything came down to. Does this help us create that environment?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that meant both home games and away games.
Mhm.
And if it didn't help us create that environment, it might be a great idea, but we don't do it.
Right.
So it was all about what helps us create that environment. And that's what the value of having a mission statement, particularly in a nonprofit,
Yeah.
really helps you decide what it is. And yeah, and
My
definitely
thing
debating
is
over it.
obviously performance. My thing is performance, obviously playing in a band, and her thing is performance, being a DJ, promoting music. So, I mean, we threw out around a lot of ideas like, oh, it could be like a nonprofit record label or a nonprofit promotional company or a nonprofit, all those music services that people need.
And I think
But
it's good.
Go ahead.
I think it's good in an aspect where you have one person that's in the out here where I DJ, I'm about sharing the music and seeing how it circulates the community and networking in that sense and exposing people to the music. And then you have someone that makes the music, that understands it from the artist aspect. And I think both of those working together is what's going to help us focus and see what we want to fund.
Yeah, and like I said, I've been a touring band, so I know it from the band perspective, and then I ran the club, so I know it from the club perspective. It's like, how are we going to make money off each other or with each other?
They're two entirely different things.
Yes, the goals are different, and the promoter who's stuck in the middle, who never makes money and loses their shirt every single time, that's like going to be a big focus for me. It's like, it's hard to find promoters because it's a losing money proposition almost every time. So,
promoters, it's just a name.
Yeah, but what if a band comes through or wants to come through and says, oh, we have this grant, so you can do this show and you won't lose money, or I mean, we have to figure out how, which side is best and who's not going to steal the money from, and run off with it, but we'll figure it out. So like where it's best to, like, do we give it to the venue? Do we give it to the promoter? Do we give it to the band? Like, where's the need the greatest, and where are people not going to lose their shirt? At least break even, and so the music can play, because promoters will be like, oh, I'm not gonna have that band because they don't make any money.
And that's like
maybe that's great art, and we want people to see that art, even if people don't show up for it.
You're specifically focusing though on Black, Indigenous people of color and LGBTQ communities,
which is even harder to get a gig and tour, and I mean, it's harder for those people to drive through Alabama on their way to Texas and play a show. It's like, so yeah. I mean, in the higher regard, it's like, where can we remove barriers? We can remove barriers by getting them the tools. We can remove barriers by paying them rent. We can remove barriers by I don't know, opening our own venues, or placing our own promoter, paying people to be promoters out there, or setting up a circuit. So everybody just does the same tour circuit, and we put on 52 shows a year, or 52 tours a year, or something, So so like high level, where can we remove the barriers? And that's going to be the discussion in the boardroom. So,
and that also could make a good mission statement right there. We remove borders for artists from
removing boundaries. So
removing boundaries,
yeah. I mean, you could brainstorm all day long. Starr and I have been doing it already.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's also, I feel like it's very important to amplify the voices that are usually drowned out more.
Yes.
And that's why a focus on putting women, LGBTQ by POC to the front is important. Like, they're always going to be they're still continually pushed on the back burner. There's still racism. There's still ingrained racism. There's still
there's security considerations. There's financial considerations. There's
so much.
Yeah, and talking
And then we're
with,
like, we'll get people therapy and we'll get people, we're getting into the social services side and we're like, we need
Yeah.
to rein it back into, arts organizations.
Right,
now.
right.
And there's a lot of people doing the social services side already. So.
Right, that's where you partner.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. We can refer out. Yeah, because I was looking at that.
You can partner, for example, with Darkest Before Dawn.
I've been doing
Right.
a lot of,
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of research. It's like there's a lot of people in all sorts of aspects of it, and you just want to partner and make sure you be like, oh, there's this need, so I can remove that boundary. So there's this need. Oh, you want to talk to these people over here? Yes, exactly. See, I got somewhat of a handle on it. All right.
Yeah.
It's good. You're right, though. It's the one way that this entrepreneurship that we're talking about actually ties into being an artist or creating art, is that you can put all sorts of things into a song, but sometimes you take and then you whittle it down into what it you take things away. You take what can you do, what can't you do, what serves the song, what serves the story of the song or the story you're writing, whatever. And so I mean, we're Starr and I were givers. And we will give and give and give, but we have to know when to be. We can't do that right now. And maybe we have to say no on some things so we can say yes on other things. It's true.
Yep. I was gonna say,
learning to say no is hard sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Scary Lady Sarah, when I interviewed her, one of the things she talked about was that she was really trying to push more female-led bands.
Yeah.
Because there aren't, particularly in goth, there really aren't very many.
Scary Lady Sarah gave us lots of shows.
Yeah.
That's why I know her. She was our promoter throughout the 90s.
And she's the sweetest. She's just so sweet.
She is.
Yeah. She gave me a hard time about being almost vegan, but not quite.
Okay. Maybe a little preachy. Well, I think to be vegan is to be a bit preachy. Whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole joke. The joke.
I mean, I think it's important to have things that you're passionate about that are essentially good. Whether that's being a vegan and animal rights and and like humane treatment of animals, if that's what you're passionate about, great. As long as it's not doing harm to somebody else.
It's
It's
like that joke about religion being like a penis. It's like, it's fine to have one. It's fine to be proud of it. You don't have to take it out and wave it around at everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, if they post it every week, I love being vegan because this. I'd be like, cool, go you.
Yep. Yeah. So, what do you have sort of on the schedule coming up with the page?
The channel.
The channel. Sorry.
So we've got a good handful of DJs on board. We've definitely got a few streams coming in per week at this point. One of my favorite things about this pandemic is I turned one of my besties into a DJ.
She did.
And it was one of those things where like she's so into music, like to the level that I am. Like she's constantly curating playlists and
our first happy customer.
Yeah, she was.
She was. You taught her. Look at her. She's just she's doing her own shows now.
She's doing her own shows, and like the whole time I've known her, I was like, you should be a DJ. Like you should.
All you had to do was show her how to do it.
Yeah. And so when my roommate was gone out of the country and I was living alone, I had to like pod up with a couple other people that were not exposed to a lot of people. And so she would come over and I taught her to DJ with me during like my Wednesday shows. And now she has her own shows running. She's got her own like controller and laptop set up, and she's like her own DJ now. And I'm derailing train wise what brought us to this point. Oh, so right. So we have several DJs. Like she's doing a stream on Hecatea Music, Alien Horror, Vamp Feline and Ricky Stranger, very adorable sweethearts, like just really good people that are like, oh yeah, I'm down to do this set that helps fund this, and knowing that we're not quite there yet, but we will be there. We will be to a point where we're going to support other avenues and artists and get them off the ground and make sure that they're funded in ways that we can help them. I've got a handful of other DJs that are in line to get lined up to spin sets on the channel. So all the revenue from the channel, bits, subs, you can donate. There's a donation link. They're going to go towards recouping costs to get this thing off the ground, because Caroline dropped a pretty big amount of pocket change, and then starting to get things rolling. Like,
yes, so
go
from the kind of meta view of it, so yes, the first thing we can do is get this Twitch channel off the ground, get it streaming enough to become an affiliate, so it makes some money that way. The DJs keep their tips. I'm not charging the DJs.
Which we're there.
Charging the artists.
We're there. But the funny thing is, like all of us DJs that are doing it so far, we're still dropping bits and subs in while we're DJing on Hecate.
Yeah. So the focus is to get the channel up and running. Make it affiliate, make it getting some money. People want to donate, great. Get the word out. That is the first order of business, and not to, not get distracted and try to do other stuff until we're able to, really.
And the cool thing about it too is, like, it's going to take a while for the channel to build an audience. Like, that's just a given. But as it does, it helps expose the people that are volunteering to their channels. It brings more followers to them. So they're getting exposed. And it's kind of like, we're hoping that it's a fulfilling kind of like win-win situation where, like, yeah, they're helping and volunteering for this organization, but they're also helping bring
for their channels,
viewers for their channel and revenue for themselves and the stuff that they're sharing with the world. It's like it's a mutual.
Falls in line with my supporters supporting the artists, and not the artists supporting the artists or supporting us or anything like that. So so it seems like a good idea.
If somebody wants to help out, be part, do a show, whatever, how do they go about?
Contact me.
Okay.
I have no idea how to do it.
I'm handling all the back end work of getting people on the channel. And it's amazing to see people excited about the idea. Like, I'm excited about this nonprofit idea. I'm so excited. And like Caroline says, we just keep wanting, like, oh, we can do all these things, but let's start small. Like, we're like right now our focus is just helping our community.
Yeah.
Getting everybody well known.
So much going on, and it's so exciting. You just want to jump in and do as much as you can, but like, it's fine, we're good.
Exposing and bringing attention to everybody that's working together that wants to see this community thrive. I am 110% open to more people joining the team. So
I'd like to grow it really big. There's a million things we can do.
Yeah, it's kind of like a collective, in a sense, of DJs and artists that want to help see this organization grow and thrive. So
see what we'll end up doing.
Yeah, if anyone is interested, you can drop my email if you need to, and have them drop me a line, and I'll get people going.
Yeah. Well, y'all had asked if I would put my videos up there, and I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I can get you the stream key, and you can.
I want it to be musical, educational, informative.
Yeah, you can.
I want it to be a channel. I want it to be about our music, for our music, by our music. So I'd love to see interviews. That's what I was saying. Like, Starr could handle the music stuff, and I would love to see more interviews and shows and interviews and
for the people and by the people. Our people specifically. And I honestly, like, one of the hardest things is having people be like, oh, well, I spend breaks, can I do this? And I was like, I love that you want to volunteer, but I specifically want us to see us focus on our scene and our genre that we want to see supported. Does that make sense?
So how would you define our scene?
We both
Goth
get really-
industrial, dark alternative music. Dark alternative music is, the
Okay.
catch-all, but goth industrial, EBM, dark
The-
wave, shoegaze, all
the
that
dark,
stuff.
the dark alt art.
The dark arts.
Okay.
True.
I just
And
asked because I know
so-
somebody would be thinking, well, what is our scene? Because you
Right.
can get into a lot of debates about what is what category and all that. So
And we could argue until we're blue in the face.
basically, if you go to any city and you say, hey, let's go to a goth club, any variation of anything you'd hear in there, from new wave to
Yeah.
industrial, or some metal or whatever, would fall under the umbrella. And so so
Our very black,
the
dark
DJs,
umbrella.
a very dark, lacy umbrella. But
Maybe it's got
yeah.
like ruffles around the edges.
So yeah, if you're going to volunteer, it'd be nice if you were one of the people we are trying to help in, in music, or in, bodily configuration or preferences. And it would help if you would spin people from the music we
Yeah.
like, and the
Yeah.
bodily and preferences.
I mean,
we,
the
but
people
not,
that
I wouldn't, I wouldn't kick people out who really want to help, and
the people that we have on the channel are so far incredibly varied. Like tonight, which not tonight from the interview, but like tonight at the time of recording this,
right.
like we have Alien Horror. She predominantly spins Black artists, and that includes some hip hop, and it includes dark electro, and it's not particularly goth, but it is adjacent to the music that we want to see thrive, and we also want to see that thrive, if that makes sense. She's putting a lot of POC to the front.
Yeah.
And then we have Tish, who's a new DJ, and she wanted to do a monthly show that was alternative, like alt 90s, where she'd play old school industrial, old school Susie, but also old alternative, like the Cranberries and other artists. Like everybody is super varied in what they're bringing to the table. And I don't think it's good to quite pigeonhole ourselves to like, oh, we're just going to support goth music. Like, no, it's an umbrella, and that's okay.
I think people in the scene know that.
Yeah, I think in general, people are pretty understanding that our scene is pretty diverse and
Yes.
and wide.
Dark alternative. Dark alternative. There you go.
Dark alternative.
Dark alternative.
That works. Yeah. Like I said, I asked just because somebody out there watching it will have that question in their mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Sure.
So
yes, and so the back end of my thing is like, so I want people in every time zone. I want people from New Zealand, and I want people in Russia, and that makes the channel go 24 hours. That's
right.
That's my goal. 24 hours
Like a network
content
or a cable channel.
Exactly. I mean, you could just flip to each channel anyway, but
our channel specifically.
Yeah. The more we stream, the better we do, I guess. So the more people we can help, the more people we expose their music to the world. So
right.
It's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So getting a blank here.
I was gonna say, is that so, as far as we were talking about mission statements. So do you have a clear idea of kind of what we're trying to do? I mean, I know it's not the clearest 5-word mission statement, but I think, do you think we've explained our ideas?
I like the idea of your goal being to reduce the barriers for non-traditional musicians and artists.
There you go. 5 words.
I was trying to think of a way to without having the BIPOC.
And that's a good way to think of it. And then you go, and then we say, does this serve that? And if not, why are we doing it? And if so, sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But this is good. This is a good conversation that honestly is helping us be more clear about our intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
The more people we talk to, the more clear we get. So
yeah.
The more you have to explain yourself, the more concise you get.
Exactly.
I mean, this is going to be an ever evolving project.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're probably coming up near the end here. My final question of everybody is always, what gives you hope?
Nothing. I'm a nihilist. I'm just trying to get through it.
And that's fair.
The kids, I guess the kids give me hope.
Okay.
That this will keep going.
I would definitely say the future generations and the people that keep pushing the boundaries. I mean, in all aspects of like social justice causes, we as a society have exploded. There's more platforms for voices. People are being heard more, and we're also amplifying voices that need to be heard. I would say that, yeah, the youths are where it's at.
Yeah.
And also us middle-aged generational people, supporting them and making sure that they're heard, and also yelling at the people that are still stuck in the old times, like, get with the program, honey, it's 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Racism is
if
bullshit.
they want to yell at people on their lawn, let them yell at people on their lawn.
Just stay on your lawn and leave me alone. but also no, like, don't yell at me. Yeah, that gives me hope. And the continual creation gives me a lot of hope, like knowing that people are still out there putting themselves out there, giving us the force that brings us together.
All right.
People are creative.
People are creative.
People are creative.
Look at you guys go.
I know. We just made a huge argument for motherhood. Is that what we're doing? That we've come down to? It's like the only thing that gives me hope is that the children will carry on.
Well,
I mean, and being a mother or a parent doesn't precisely mean just children are bearing human beings.
No,
I
of
mean,
course not.
like,
yes,
fostering, nurturing.
You know, well, at this stage, it's grandmothering in, but yeah.
But making sure that we are nurturing, like I think both Caroline and I are we're givers, we're nurturers. We want to see things thrive and grow.
Especially women and POC.
Yeah.
And our
like
music.
How can I use my privilege to the best in ways to support other people that need it more than I do?
And my experience and my knowledge.
And that's what I try to do as well, both here on Twitch and in my teaching. So one of the things that I do is I've now hosted twice a panel or a forum on women of color entrepreneurs, and trying to help them, because studies have clearly shown that while particularly African-American women are starting more businesses than any other demographic, they make less than any other demographic. But what
can confirm.
Yeah. What I can,
and it's like, and that's the whole thing is like, how do we balance those scales out, right?
Like, or equity now is the the goal now is equity, not equality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you said, kids, although I don't have kids, my students are kids to me. I mean, they're in their early 20s, but they're still kids. And
the things you teach them that will carry with them and build upon in ways that you can't even conceive of now. I've
seen that because I get 100 students every semester. There's definitely a growing interest in wanting to make a difference. The students that I have, of course, they seek me out because I teach those kinds of classes. So it's a little biased, but there's a lot of students out there that want to help in whatever way. Like every semester in my regular entrepreneurship class, there's always a team that wants to help musicians.
So that's what gives you hope?
Yeah.
Yes. Great. Gives me hope to see, everybody out there wanting to try and help, and seeing you two putting together this organization that's trying to help. And that just, it gives me hope for humanity. All right. Because, it hasn't been all that hopeful in the recent past. But I think
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is
And that's why I think
looking better.
it's important to be able to have these things to lean in, because like basically what it comes down to is it's up to us as a community
Mhm.
is
Yep.
basically what it boils down to.
And I'm seeing that, all over, people just wanting to help, wanting to do something.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's the other side of that as well. So
Yes.
not to be the pessimist, but I'm seeing a lot more of the other side. I'm seeing a lot more of this side.
Yeah.
But that's what's driving us to actually
Mhm.
not just sit there and be complacent and like,
Right.
well, this is happening. Like, no, let's get off our asses and actually do something about it.
Right.
Yeah, well, you have to believe you can.
Yeah.
I mean, the music industry has been horrible for artists since its inception.
Yeah.
And anybody who's tried to, navigate it knows that it's stacked against
Yeah.
the artist. So what do? You get to the point where you, get disheartened. Maybe you give up music. Some people do.
Or worse.
Or you try and, reinvent the wheel and you invent Twitch. I don't know. Or you get to a point where like, well, I got as far as I could and now I can share my experience and maybe the next generation will know what to do, or some sort of watershed moment will happen, or some technology or something like that will change things. And maybe, I don't know.
Well, that's why I like the idea of, removing those barriers, to let people try things.
Yeah,
Because the more things that are tried, the more likely something's going to come along that's going to change the world.
true.
Yep.
It's true.
We just have to make people enabled to do that.
Yeah.
Happy to do what I can.
Yep. And
What we're doing.
this is a changing moment. I mean, the world is different now than it was a year
Yeah.
ago.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. There's
I didn't hear
And
of
so
Twitch a year ago.
with-
Some of us probably never heard of Twitch a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, a
with
year ago,
change,
maybe,
of course, is opportunity, right?
Yes.
Because every time something changes, then what works before doesn't work the same.
Yeah, because
Right.
usually what's invented is something that, kind of equalizes a playing field. Like MTV was, some people didn't have videos. So the only people who had videos, and that was
Mhm.
it. And it wasn't the major labels yet until they caught up, And social media, same thing, put the power back in the people's hands.
Mhm.
Twitch, it's putting the power back in our hands. Doesn't last long, but it's a moment. And if you know
Yep.
how to grab it,
Yep.
I think
you can do something.
the world is constantly going to be changing
Mhm.
and evolving and ebbing and flowing into this arena or that arena, and you just kind of have to ride the waves.
Change is constant.
And utilize everything to its potential. Like,
Yeah, if you find yourself in a place where you can, which we
Yeah.
have, which we have,
Yes.
we have Twitch for
not
now.
doing it, not
That's
doing
the
it
point I was going to bring up. We have Twitch for now.
for now.
Right. Yes, because there's been
Exactly.
discussions about this going away and looking at
Yeah.
other platforms.
Yes.
So that's part of the reason why I'm keeping this list of like other resources that are out there and kind of trying to watch them just to
I
see
mean,
how things.
we're
other
old
things are
enough to
developing.
know. We're old enough to know, like, oh, maybe we should plan ahead because
Yeah.
I have
this is kind of precarious. It's fun.
I have a handful of different avenues on the back burner, right? Because like there's the whole DMC Act, there's the copyright stuff, which Twitch is essentially at risk for.
Mhm.
I've learned that there are steps you can take to ensure that your channel is not shut down. There are rules, and you play by the rules. Those that don't play the rules are taking a big risk, and it's not that the threat is always there, and I try and play things as safe as possible. And I like to play by the rules. I want to make sure that people are safe, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
and continue to have this avenue that they can do whatever they love to do on. Like, so it's just a matter of really reading all the fine print and making sure that you're making yourself as safe as possible, and also having things on the back burner.
Yeah.
If Twitch goes up in flames.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
Hope for the best and plan for the worst. Is, you know, that's my business. That's my business insight for the day.
one thing to think about is redundancy,
Yes.
right? So what a lot of people are doing is they're, streaming through multiple channels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean multiple channels on Twitch, but multiple
Right,
platforms.
right, right.
Yeah. So that, if one goes down, you've got a backup.
Yeah.
So
it's good to
I've
have
heard
a lot
people,
of eggs in your basket.
but if you're already established on multiple different platforms, it makes it easier to transition if one of them goes down.
Yeah.
So just something to think about. I'm sure you're already thinking about it.
I'm starting to dive into the how to like multi-stream and on different platforms at the same time. A lot of us.
And I'm thinking the goal is performance. Then we can move into, once the pandemic's over or controlled, we can move into, live venues. We can move into whatever the new technologies are.
Yeah.
And the goal is performance. It'll always find a way.
Yeah.
The
show must go on.
Get people into a venue, get people on TV, getting people on the radio, whatever medium happens next. Hopefully we'll find a way to get those performances out there. That's the goal.
Yep. I think with that, that's a good way to wrap this up.
Well,
so thank you both for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
it was fun.
For your insights. Appreciate it.
So we will be rating somewhere soon when this is done, but we'll figure that out later.